Okay, next chapter, chapter number 7, investment decision. Financial management is a mixture of three decisions we've been learning. First one is financing decision. Second one, investment decision. Third one is your dividend decision. So what happens in investment decisions? We said we have to take a call how much we have to invest in our big projects or PPEs and stuff, and how much we have to keep towards working capital management. Yes. In deciding how much we invest in PP and other assets and all, we said we use a particular technique. What is that technique? Capital budgeting technique we have written. Chapter number 1, you remember? In the chart also we wrote allocation of funds or how much we should use for PP and all is done through a technique known as capital budgeting. Or rather, capital budgeting is a technique which determines whether the investment is worth it. Is it getting your desired rate of return we had written? Yes or no? I said we'll study this in detail in a particular chapter, and that is that chapter, or this is that particular chapter. Okay, here we're going to talk about, we'll have a lot of projects and PPEs and investments involved. Which project to choose, how it goes around is what we're going to see here. Basically it all deals about investment, whether that investment is worth it or which investment should we select if there are multiple investments, is the overview of this particular chapter. All right, first few components of theory is there. Why should we first of all do a capital budgeting? The purpose or the importance of capital budgeting. First one is substantial expenditure. The amount of outlay it involves, the amount of expenditure you invest is huge in value. So you have to take these decisions a little carefully. Okay, because of the amount involved. Second one is, it's a long period of time. If you buy a plant and machinery, some machineries last for 10 years, 15 years. And basically on basis of this, it determines your growth direction and all. Basically this outlay will be involved for a long period of time. Hence you should be a little careful again, because once you invest, that only determines the growth rate, because fixed assets will determine your production capacity. In production capacity will be influenced by, or rather influences your sales capacity and your growth eventually. Third one is your irreversibility factor. Irreversibility means once the investment is gone, tirupti toss only. Undi. It will never come back. You can't reverse it. It's not that you can't reverse it. It is not economically feasible to do so, because the amount of investment you did over there. Okay. So irreversibility factor. Another one is your complex decision. Whether to buy a machinery or not, to analyze that, we have to analyze the future events. How much inflows we're going to get, how much is going to be outflows and stuff. All you have to estimate. When you're estimating the future, can you be 100% sure? Is it a short number? No. Hence, they say capital budgeting decisions are a little bit on the complex side. Is it okay? These are the importance of capital budgeting. Quite rare, but they're asking such questions. But nonetheless, we should keep in mind at least 2-3 points we should remember. Fair enough? Okay, so capital budgeting wala process. How do you go for it? First stage is your planning stage. In planning stage, what we do is we identify various investment opportunities. Whether to invest in project A, project B, project X, project Y. We just analyze what are the opportunity for us to invest. Various things we determine in that. Second one is what? Evaluation. Evaluation, what do you think will involve? We'll evaluate after determining where and all we can invest. Now we'll decide what are the benefits by investing in this, what are the costs in investing in next. If you decide you want to invest in project A, you will see project A will involve how much cost, how much benefit. That stage is what we're calling it as an evaluation stage. Self-explanatory, yes or no? Okay, third one is what? Selection. So like this, you evaluate for each project. The cost benefit analysis you're going to do for each project. Whichever fits your criteria, what are you going to do for that? Select it. Okay. So that's on your selection side. You do the cost benefit analysis and eventually do the selection. After selection, what are you going to do? If you want to, you'll implement it. Let's say you want to go for project A. Project A will require a certain finance. Let's say project A requires 10 lakh rupees ka investment. It requires a plant and machinery where it requires 3 plant and machinery. Like this, there'll be certain requirements for each project. Now what do you have to do now? If you want to go for project A, first you have to arrange a source of finance, and you have to arrange all the assets that particular project requires. That is what we're going to do in that implementation wala stage. Whatever is necessary resource required for that particular project, we have to go ahead and procure that. That happens in your implement stage. Next one, what? After implementing, will you keep quiet? Obviously, you will. Why did you decide that you want to go ahead with this project? You feel it's going to give you a certain return, yes or no? Will actual return be matching your budgeting return, or could there be a variance? The testing of that variance will happen in your control stage. At every stage, you keep on analyzing whether what we expected is what we are achieving. That happens in your control stage. Last stage is your review stage. This happens at the near end stage or after the project is complete. What do you want to know after the project is done for? Whether it is a success or a failure. Ultimately, the return that you got is higher than what you invested or not. This is your capital budgeting wala process. Again, not seen often. Capital budgeting mein generally practical questions have been coming for 10 markers. Theory very, very rare, but still few pointers better to know than to skip. Is it okay so far? All right. Types of capital investment decision. This we can call it as red camera. What is red cam? We will see. Types of capital investment decision. First type is your replacement and modernization decision, that we call it as R. R here stands for replacement and modernization decision. Like, let's say that you have a plant and machinery whose life is 5 years and it's almost reached the end of its useful life. Now what do you have to do? Replace that machinery. That's what we call it as a replacement decision. Modernization is more on the technology side. Machinery is new maybe, but technology has become outdated. Then you have to modernize or replace that machinery for the modernization perspective. One sort of a decision is what we call it as replacement and modernization decision. Second one, what is the second alphabet we wrote? E. E for expansion. Okay. We started the academy. It's going fine. Next, what do you think will be our motto? To open more centers. To open more centers, again I require more investments, and that investment will be done through which decision? Capital budgeting wala decision. So that is your expansion decision there. Is it okay? Next is your diversification decision. We only have diversified, no? We teach for CA, CS, we started CMA, correct, no? Why do you think we're doing that? So that let's say CS may be facing a loss, the number of students is on the lower side. At least by doing CMA or CPA, we'll be able to compensate, yes or no? Even business would like to do that only, yes, no? They would like to get into various products. If one of the product fails, means they can recover the money from another product, let's say. That's one way of diversifying, getting into a different product zone. Or you can getting into a different market also you can do. Right now, let's say we are teaching only CA and we are teaching CA only in Bangalore. Correct? Now I want to open CA center in Chennai, because I want to capture Chennai market. But I don't want to diversify into CS or CMA course, but I only want to teach CA. This is also known as your diversification. Your product is same, but you are entering into a different market because you see there is a lot more potential there. Could be the reason. Alright? Or whatever reason that could be there. That is your RED. Next is what? CAM. C stands for contingent decisions. Contingent decisions means certain projects or certain decisions you can take provided you also fulfill something else. Contingent means dependent. Like here only they have given an example. Or let's say you want to open a factory in a rural area. One remote area you want to open a factory. Is it okay? You can do so, but that does not have any infrastructure at all. It has no road, no electricity, no water. Then what do you have to do? If you want to construct that factory over there, you also have to invest in your infrastructure activities. So investment decision on this is dependent on another decision as well. Such we call it as a contingent decision or dependency decisions. Investment in one depends on the investment in the other as well. They are related that way. Okay. Next alphabet is what? A. A stands for accept reject decision. Accept reject decision will be purely based on the risk and return those projects carry. Last one will be what? M. What does M stand for? Mutually exclusive decision. Mutually exclusive means what? Accepting. These are in way related. Accept reject decisions and mutually exclusive decisions are one way related. Meaning, if you accept one project, you have to reject the other one. In your simple one, a washing machine. Whether to buy automatic washing machine or semi-auto. Will you buy both? If you buy automatic, you have to let go on the semi-automatic. Yes or no? Even coaching center you did know. Those are mutually exclusive decisions. If you choose to do IPCC with Arivo Pro Academy, you can't go to blah 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 academy. Correct? No. It's either that blah 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 academy or Arivo Academy. That is that. Even business has to take care of this in terms of their project. If they buy machinery X, they can't buy machinery Y. That we call it as a mutually exclusive decisions. These are the decisions that you encounter in your capital budgeting decisions. Red CAM is a short form. R for replacement and modernization decisions. E for expansion decisions. D for diversification decision. C for contingent decisions. A for accept or reject wala decisions. M for mutually exclusive decisions. Okay, if at all they ask for, just call out at least 1 or 2 points relating to them. Alright, one of the bases for which you can decide on the capital budgeting decisions is your cash flow. Cash flow meaning what? How much I need to invest. In return, how much am I going to get? If you invest now, will you recover all the money today itself? Or it's going to go on for a long period of time? Because capital budgeting decisions means they are long term in nature. Yes or no? You invest the money now, maybe you will be able to recover at the end of 5th year. Yes or no? That means for the 5th year, you have to estimate what? The cash flows. So we are trying to ascertain. Okay, so like one of the factors which could affect the cash flow is your depreciation. Why is depreciation affecting cash flows? Depreciation is a cash item or non-cash item? Non-cash. Then how am I saying it affects cash flows? Or why should we keep depreciation in mind when we are when we are calculating cash flows? You get depreciation as an expense. Yes or no? What does expense do to your profit? It reduces the profit. If profit is reduced, what happens to your tax? Tax is also reduced. Yes or no? That means because of depreciation, you get tax benefit. Correct or no? That means your cash outflow is reduced because of depreciation. So that impact we have to consider when you're calculating the cash flow. So far, are we okay? So hence, how to calculate, I'll show you, but this is one. Second one we have to keep in mind is your opportunity cost. What do we mean by opportunity cost here? Foregoing the alternative. Let's say like, here we'll take the example given there only. Alright. Let's say you want to construct your factory in a land, on a land owned by you itself. A particular firm owns a land on which they want to construct a factory. Is it okay? Let's say the land can be sold for 1 crore rupees. If you want to sell that land, it will fetch you how much? 1 crore rupees. But if you build a factory, will you be able to sell it now? That means opportunity foregone is 1 crore rupees. You have to consider that also when you're getting into capital budgeting wala decisions. Opportunity cost as well. Did you understand the meaning of opportunity cost? By taking a particular decision, you're losing out on some benefits. So you have to consider that benefit also as a cost here because you have lost it. No. So that benefit lost is what we call it as an opportunity cost. Yes sir, no sir? Alright. Sunk cost. Costing. What is sunk cost? Sunk means what? Already incurred. Historical cost. Sunk cost has no relevance with respect to your capital budgeting decisions because it is anyway incurred already. Like you hired a CA for a capital budgeting decisions. You told there is a project, give me a project report. Based on project report, I will decide whether I should take this project or not. Is it okay? CA told okay, 10 lakh rupees fees. CA told 10 lakh rupees fees, assumption. Is it okay? And we paid 10 lakh rupees fees to the CA also. He told advance, I won't trust you. You have to give me the money right now. And we paid off 10 lakh rupees. He told under no circumstance I will refund also. Okay. He gave the report. The report said go ahead with the project. Then will this have any impact? Suppose the report said don't go ahead with the project. Then still this cost is anyway paid off. Will he refund this money? That means it is already incurred. So that means it has no relevance on your capital budgeting decisions. Those costs we call it as a sunk cost, which has already been incurred. Okay. So that you can ignore. Working capital we'll see later. So let's have a quick recap of whatever we have done so far. Then everything is on the problem side of things. So what is the whole fund of investment decisions? Deciding whether to go ahead with a project or not, or these decisions involve whether to buy a particular asset or go ahead with a particular project or not. Yes or no? And we do it through a technique known as capital budgeting. In layman term, capital budgeting is nothing but a technique which determines whether the investment is worth it. Whether you get the return higher than your cost. All right, and we go through, or what are the importance of capital budgeting process? Why should we pay attention to capital budgeting techniques or capital budgeting process? One, because the amount of expenditure that you incur will be huge. So any mistake here and there can actually lead to the firm's downfall in a big way. Yes or no? Instead of opening a center in Koramangala, I opened it in KR Market. Peak area. Full, nobody can make out where the center is. So yes or no, it's a decision. Correct or no? And the lease period is 5 years. They said, if you want to take means, take it for 5 years. Once I go there, I can't back out for 5 years. Yes or no? So that means the impact is on the amount of the expenditure is huge, and the impact is on a long run basis. And most of the decisions are not irreversible, or it is not economically feasible to do the reversal. And last one, it is a complex decisions because it involves predicting your futures. So hence we'll have to keep in mind few things. Okay. Hence we have to pay attention to the capital budgeting wala process. How does capital budgeting process work? What do we start with? Planning. At a planning stage, what do? We identify where and all can we open our education centers. That is your planning stage. Which location I should open on, where and all it's feasible for me. Okay. Second stage, what do? Evaluate. Now I will evaluate. Now I freeze down Jayanagar and Koramangala. Now I will see how many colleges are there in Jayanagar, how many colleges are there in Koramangala, how many students are there in Jayanagar who are taking up CA. Like this analysis I will do. Yes or no? That happens in your evaluation stage. Basically evaluation, you are evaluating what? The cost as well as the benefit here. Third stage is what? Selection. Finally, I decided that Koramangala has maximum number of college and also has maximum number of CA students. That means I will select what? Koramangala as the area. So once I freeze on Koramangala, what I have to do? Implement it. That means I have to find a building or a premises where I can open my coaching center. Correct or no? That means I have to arrange for the resources. The money required and the assets required and other resources that I require, I should arrange for it. That is that implementation stage. Next is what? Control stage. I expected 30 people will come, but only 3 people came. That happens in your control stage. Continuously reviewing your reality with the budgets. Okay. Last one is what? Review. 1 year over. Then I will review my performance. Whether I made a profit or I made a loss. Whether my project is a success or it is a failure. That is your capital budgeting wala process. Easy now? Next is what? Certain decisions or capital investment decisions are there. That we can call it as REDCAM. R for replacement and modernization decisions. Replacement for the worn out or old machineries. Expansion for technologically outdated machineries or technologically outdated wala decisions, that is. E for expansions decisions and D for diversification decisions. C for contingent decisions, meaning one is dependent on the other. A for accept reject decisions based on your risk and return. Last M as in mutually exclusive decisions. Mutually exclusive means you accept one means you have to forego or leave off the other one. That we call it as a mutually exclusive decisions. So one of the primary metrics of capital budgeting is your cash flow. Keeping cash flow only, we take all our decisions. Yes or no? So few pointers we need to keep in mind when you're calculating cash flow. One is your depreciation. Though depreciation is non-cash, because of depreciation you get some tax benefit. So because of that, hence we have to consider depreciation also into play. Next is your opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is by doing these decisions, what is the benefit you are foregoing? That becomes your opportunity cost. Third one, sunk cost. Does sunk cost have any relevance on capital budgeting decisions? No, because it is already incurred. Whether you go ahead with the project or not, it has already been anyway incurred. It has no much relevance there. Now on the numerical side of things, can we start the problems? Question number 1. ABC is evaluating purchase of new machinery with depreciable base of 1 lakh and the life of that asset is 4 years. Change in earnings before tax and depreciation of 45,000 in year 1. If you go ahead with this project, you will get an EBIT of 45,000 in year 1, 30,000 in year 2, 25,000 in year 3, 35,000 in year 4. Assume straight line method of depreciation and tax rate. You are required to compute the relevant cash flows. Can we go ahead and solve this? They're asking you to just calculate cash flows. What is one thing we said we should keep in mind while calculating cash flows? depreciation. Alright, have they given year? Or maybe I'll just show you the presentation. They've given it in, they've given 4 years, no? Then we'll do a columnar presentation. Particulars, right, years. 1, 2, 4 years, or how many has they give? 4, okay. What have they given in the problem? Earnings, what did they give? Earnings before tax and depreciation. So we'll write the same then. It's EBITDA. Earnings before taxes and depreciation. How much is the earnings for each year they've given? 45,000, 30,000, 25,000, and lastly 35,000. Can we take these cash flows for our decision making? No, we want cash flows after tax, okay, and depreciation ka advantage. Have they given tax rate by any chance? Have they given tax rate? Yes, but directly can I deduct off tax? Or this is what is the name of this earnings? Earnings before tax and depreciation. So first I have to deduct what? All the expenses. So the first expense here we're finding is the depreciation. Correct, no sir? Yes. How much is the value of that asset they told? 1 lakh. Okay. Have they given the salvage value of that asset? How do you get straight line method? What is the formula to calculate depreciation? Original cost minus salvage value divided by life of the asset. Salvage value is 0 because they have not given anything. Divided by life of the asset, which is 4 years. Yes or no? That means your depreciation per annum is how much, sir? 25,000 every year. 25,000 for all the 4 years. So if you do this, what are you going to get? EBIT. I we don't know. So we just write EBT because no information. No? So earnings before tax. How much is earnings before tax? 20,000, and here it is 5,000. Here nothing. Here 10,000 rupees. Then deduct tax. Tax is at what rate? 20%. So calculate 20% of that. This will be 4,000, 1,000. Here 0. Here it is 2,000. So what is the earnings after tax? What is earnings after tax? 16,000, 4,000, 8,000. Can I consider these EAT for my decision making? Can I consider this? No. Why? Why no? See, for my cash flow purpose, I deducted depreciation. Did I pay anybody cash as depreciation? Is there an actual outflow? No. Hence, last what we have to do is add back depreciation. How much is depreciation? 25,000, 25,000, 25,000, and 25,000. That means your net cash flow will be how much in this case? Net cash flow for year 1 will be 41,000. This will be 29,000, and here 25,000, and here it is 33,000. Did you understand this? Can you give me an overview? What did we did here? Basically, cash flow for our decision making is cash flow after tax, because we want the net outflow, because tax is what you pay to the government. No, where is the inflow for me? So cash flow here implies cash flows after tax. Yes or no? But here we can't take cash flows after tax as our cash flow, because there is one culprit, which is depreciation. Did you pay in the first year? How much is depreciation did you deduct? 25,000. Did you pay cash to anybody? Here 25,000 cash. Did the cash go out, or it is like that only? But we have to deduct depreciation, because depreciation is an expense for tax purpose. Hence first we deduct depreciation, calculate the current amount of tax paid off, and then add back depreciation because it is a non-cash item. Got it? Yes or no? So that is the stream we have to follow there. Once more, or okay. Fine. Can we move on to the next one, sir? All right. Next question number 1 over. So we have various capital budgeting techniques. First one is your without time value wala techniques. Without using time value, we have certain capital budgeting techniques, and with the time value of money. Time value of money we know. All right. So one is your non-discounting techniques, which we call it as traditional approach. We'll take up the first one under that, which we call it as a payback period. Name itself is saying payback period. That means what? Let's say you invest 10 lakh rupees in a particular project. Is it okay? You invest 10 lakh rupees in a particular project. That means year 0. How much year 0 means now? Correct? No, year 0 always indicates now. Now how much you have to invest? 10 lakh. Let's say first year you will recover 3 lakh rupees. Second year you will recover, let's say, 4 lakh rupees. Year 3 you will recover 3 lakh rupees. Year 4 finally you will recover 2 lakh rupees. Okay. Let's say you have to invest 10 lakh rupees now. And if you invest 10 lakh rupees in a particular project, that project will give you a return of, first year it will give you a cash flow of, let's say this is net cash flow. What do you mean by net cash flow? Cash flows after tax and add in back depreciation. After doing all the adjustment, we got net cash flow to be how much? 3 lakh in the year 1. Year net cash flow for year 2 is 4. All these are assumed numbers. Year 3 ka net cash flow is 3 lakh. Year 4 ka is 2 lakh rupees. Can you tell me in simple terms, forget about capital budgeting decisions and all, by which year can I recover my investment back? I invested it 10 lakh. By which year can I get my money back? First year I required 3. Second year I required 4 more. So totally I have recovered 7. Third year I recovered again 3. That means I have recovered totally how much now? That means recovery happened within the third year itself. That we call it as a payback period. In what period did you recover your money ignoring time value money concept? Is it okay? Hence it is non-discounting approach or traditional approach. Only payback period ignoring the time value of money. Okay so far? Everybody? This can be, or can you repeat what is that payback period? In layman terms it is nothing but in what period can you recover your investment back? So this can be represented as a formula. In fact, can you tell me as a formula? Anybody remembers? Not given, no? Okay, payback period is nothing but initial cash. It's there, oh? Okay, initial cash outflow or initial capital investment divided by NCF. NCF as in net cash flow or cash flows after tax. Got it? Everybody? If cash flows are annual cash flows after tax every year, we can apply the formula only if annual cash flow tax are even every year. Like, just to give you another example, let's say initial capital outflow or cash outflow is 4 lakh. Year 1 ka cash flow you're going to get is 2 lakh rupees. Year 2 ka 2 lakh rupees. Year 3 ka 2 lakh rupees. Is it okay? Can we use a formula approach and find out? What did the formula say? Payback period is nothing but initial cash outflow, which is 4 lakh, divided by annual cash flows that you get every year. What is the annual cash flow you're getting every year? 2 lakhs. Divided by 2 lakh you do 2 years. Is it okay? So this formula is saying 2 years. By 2 years did you recover the investment? Yes. First year you recovered 2 lakh. Second year you recovered another 2 lakh. So that means 2 lakh plus 2 lakh is 4 lakh. You can apply the formula provided only if your cash flows are uniform throughout the year. If it is changing, then we'll have to use a slightly different one. Good enough? Hence formula in a way is irrelevant, you could say. Okay. Yeah. So can we calculate? Can we do a couple of questions in calculating payback period? Everyone? A project costs 20 lakh rupees and yields an annual profit of 3 lakh. Underline the word annual. So what can you make out of it? Every year the cash flow is 3 lakh. If it is uniform, can we apply the formula? Yes. So, and what is this profit there? 3 lakh after depreciation. After depreciation means what? After deducting depreciation. And at what rate are you charging depreciation? 12.5% on a straight line method, but it is before tax. We want what cash flow? Pure cash flows, or we want NCF? NCF means what? Net cash flows. How do you get that? It is cash flows after tax and after doing certain adjustments. And one adjustment you have to do here is now add back depreciation. Yes or no? Everybody? All right. So this annual profit is after depreciation of 12.5%, but before tax, calculate the payback period. But before we go ahead and calculating the payback period, first we have to calculate the cash flows or net cash flows required for us. Can we do that calculation? Everyone following or no? Question number 2, no? Okay, particulars, or I can write here net cash flows. Particulars, amount. How much is the profit before tax they have given? The problem. How much is the profit before tax? 3 lakh rupees. Should I deduct depreciation? Like in the last problem, should I deduct depreciation, or they have already done that? Because they said profit after depreciation, meaning depreciation has already been deducted. Yes or no? So profit before tax is 3 lakh. From this, what are you going to do? Deduct tax. Tax ka rate is how much? 50%. Calculate 50% of this, which will be 1,50,000. That means what are you going to get now? Profit after tax or earnings after tax is 1,50,000. Can I calculate? Can I take this as my cash flow? Can I take this as my cash flow, guys? Is this one, or I've already deducted depreciation? Correct? Depreciation is a cash expense or non-cash expense? Non-cash expense. Hence, what do? Add back depreciation written off. Hope everyone is following. Everyone? Okay, how much did you invest in this project? What is the total cost of this project? 20 lakh. What is the depreciation rate they have given in the problem? 12.5%. Calculate 20 lakh ka 12.5%. Don't apply 3 lakh ka 12.5%. 3 lakh is the return that you're getting in the form of profit. How much you have to invest in that asset? If you invest 20 lakh in that asset, you will get a profit of 3 lakh rupees every year. So asset cost is not 3 lakh, it is 20 lakh. Fair enough? So how much is depreciation? 2,50,000. That means cash flow for our decision making, capital budgeting decisions is 4 lakh rupees. Or this we can call it as what? Net cash flows, or NCF. Only in the classroom we'll use the short form. Net cash flow, that is NCF. Is it uniform throughout the year, or it is changing every year? It is uniform. That means, can we use payback to calculate payback period? Can we use the formula? So do you remember payback period ka formula? What was payback period ka formula? Payback period is equal to what? Initial cash outflow, or you can write initial investment also, divided by net cash flows. So we'll write PP. PP as in payback period. How much is the outflow you have to make initially? Check. Project cost is how much? 20 lakh rupees. And how much is the net cash flow you're going to get for our decision making purpose? 4 lakh rupees. Correct? No? That means you'll recover your investment back within how many years? 5 years. That is your simple payback period. Ignoring time value of money. If you consider time value of money, then it will be discounted payback period, another method for tomorrow's session. No, not for today. Fine. There's non-discounting session. Non-discounted payback period. Reach the zone. The zone has come or yet to come? Yet to come means 1 hour more. Now it has come, sir. No. Look at her. No. Sir, you have to go, sir. We don't have problem. Okay. We'll do a few more problems and we'll leave. Okay, no? No. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. Question number 3. XYZ is analyzing a project requiring an initial cash outlay of. So initially you have to make an outflow of 2 lakh rupees and expect it to generate the cash flows as possible. As follows. Annual cash flows you check. Year 1, 2, 3, 4 years you're getting the cash flows. 80, 60, 60, 20. Uniform or different? Different. That means we'll have to adopt a different strategy there. Is it okay? To calculate the payback period. In fact, you are required to calculate the payback period itself. Manageable. Tax rate is not given. So that means this itself will become NCF. No depreciation data, no tax data. That means what? Whatever cash inflows they have given, that itself is your net cash flows. That's first observation. Manageable. Move on, and can we put up the solution now? Question number 3. Okay, first year cash flows, or you can write net cash flows for our understandings. Net cash flows, you have to make 3 columns. Year is the first column, second column heading is net cash flows, third column is cumulative net cash flows. Okay, first year 1, how much of inflow we got in year 1? 80,000. Okay, year 2, how much did we get? Or maybe we'll write down all that. Year 3 and year 4, 80, 60,000, 60,000 and 20,000 respectively. The third column we are trying to calculate cumulative net cash flow. In the first year, cumulative means you have to add something and get cumulative. Accumulate means adding a few things, yes or no? In year 1, we have only 1 cash flow, so that means we can't add anything. So it is 80 only. In the year 2, what will be accumulated cash flows? First year we got 80,000. Second year, how much cash flow did you get? 60,000. That means your cumulative cash flow is how much? 1,40,000. Yes or no, sir? Alright, next one. Third year mein. First year you recovered 80, second year you recovered 60, third year you recovered 60 again. That means how much is it totally? 2 lakh rupees. Fourth year mein, can I directly write like this? Accumulated cash flow for year 3 is 2 lakh. This year again you recovered how much? 20,000. So totally is 2,20,000. Would that make sense? Everybody? What is your initial investment, sir? 2 lakh rupees. By which year did you recover that 2 lakh rupees? Third year. That means your payback period is 3 years direct. By direct observation. This is just observational method. Yes or no? So that means what will you write here? Therefore, payback period is 3 years, as by the end of third year we have recovered, this is just for your reference, we have recovered initial outflow of, how much did we initially invest? 2 lakh rupees. This question is not good. One more we have for payback period, or it's the next concept? No, then we'll do one more. We'll modify this question. Yeah. This is part A. We'll write one more. Assume outflow or initial outflow this is 220. Initial outflow, let's keep it as 2,05,000. Assume initial cash outflow is 2,05,000 and calculate PP. PP as in payback period. Assume initial cash outflow is 2,05,000 and calculate the payback period. Yes, sir. This is now okay, sir. Interesting, sir. So this is part A ka solution. Next we'll put up part B ka. Same we'll put up year. I can copy, no? But this will also come. I have to erase that. Too much headache. I'll write off again. Net cash flow, cumulative cash flow. Anyway, you guys keep gripping that. I keep copying, no? Just for your satisfaction, I'm just writing all this. Okay. Cumulative cash flows. This is under B scenario, where initial cash outflows is equal to 2 lakh 5,000. Okay. First year, have you made those 3 columns? First year, how much is the net cash flow did you get? 80. We'll copy that off or else. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 80, 60, 60 and 20. Can you calculate cumulative cash flow for me this time around? It'll be what? 80,000 and then it'll be here 80,000 and then it'll be 80 plus 60 which is 1,40,000. 1,40,000 plus 60,000 which is 2 lakh. 2 lakh plus 20,000. 2,20,000. Everyone is okay with this? Now we can't directly observe and get it. Yes or no? Because cash outflow is how much? 2,05,000. Check. Any number here is 2,05,000? No. That means you have to do a small calculation. Can you tell me what is your cash outflow by the way? 2,05,000. 2,05,000 comes within this window. That means can I say payback period falls between 3 to 4 years? Somewhere in between that. We don't know what at that point of time, but it falls within 3 to 4 years. Correct or no? Now check here how to get it. From 3 to 4, how many years is the difference? Or months we'll call it. How many months difference? 12 months. Yes or no? Whole year. What is the change in cash flow? Or maybe I'll just expand this. Hang on. Month and change in cash flow. 2 columns I've written. Year 3 to year 4. How many months are there, sir? One whole year means 12 months. Correct? No. How much did your cash flow change? Year 3 it was 2 lakh. By the end of year 4 it became 20,000. That means how much is the change in cash flow? 20,000. Correct? No. Because 4th year you owed 20,000 only. No. Yes or no, sir? So now you want to go from 2 lakh. You want to go from 2 lakh to 2 lakh 20 or you want to go from 2 lakh to 2 lakh 5? In the year, by year 3 you earned 2 lakh rupees. Yes or no? You want to know by which year will you recover 2 lakh 5,000. What is this 2 lakh 5,000? Your outflow. That means what is the change you are looking at? 5,000. Correct or no? 2 lakh to 2 lakh 5,000. Done? No? This will change in how many months? Or this change will be achieved in how many months is what we are trying to find out. Got it? Or once more? Got it, everybody. Sure, 100%. So what is X here then? X is what? X is equal to 12 into 5,000 divided by 20,000, which is how much? 3 months. That means what is your payback period? Therefore, PP is 3 years, 3 months. Okay. All right. Assume 2,15,000 into. Let's see. Outflow is 2,15,000. Perfect. 2,15,000. All of you have copied this. So outflow we assumed what? This is just for your reference. We assumed that outflow is 2,15,000. That means till the payback period is within 3 to 4 years. Can you tell me in the presentation pictorial how it will be? From 3 to 4 years, how many months change? How many months are that? 12 months. What is the change in cash flow? At the end of 3rd year it was 2 lakh. By the end of 4th year it is 2,20,000. That means the change in cash flow is 20,000. You want to go from 2 lakh to 220 or you want to go from what to what? 2 lakh to 2,15,000. That means what is the change? For 15,000 in how many months you will be able to recover that? So X will be how much then? X will be 12 into 15,000 divided by 20,000, which is 9 months. Very, very simple one. Yes or no? Just for your reference. Now that you have calculated, can you tell me some of the advantages of payback method and disadvantages? Calculation wise, how did you find? You found it was too high funda or very easy? Easy to calculate, easy to understand. Advantage? main disadvantages is it doesn't consider time value of money. It only keeps the cash flow as it is. We have to very much consider the time value of money concept, that which ignores. And two, it does not consider the cash flows after the payback period. Once you have recovered, no, it doesn't bother about the next one. Here, you just check what is the payback period here in this example. 3 years. It says 3 years you are recovering the investment. It doesn't bother about the 4th year ka cash flow, which is what? 20,000. So any cash flows after the payback period is ignored. Those are your advantages and disadvantages which has been called out in your books. Okay. Can I go for the next concept then? Like this, we have many methods. We'll have to keep doing one by one. Easy only. We'll not do all today, only few will. Payback reciprocal, it seems. And this question, I think, has come in RTP also and once in your previous paper also. This theory question. Payback reciprocal. Name itself is saying what? Payback reciprocal. That means find out the payback period, do the inverse of it. If your payback period is 3 years, what do? Payback reciprocal will be 1 divided by 3. That's going to be 33.33%. What is the meaning of this is, in fact, first point, as the name suggests, it is nothing but a reciprocal of payback period. Compute the payback period, do the inverse of it. Yes, no, sir. What is the formula for payback period? Initial investment divided by net cash flow. What do you think will be the formula for payback reciprocal? Cash flows divided by initial investment. That way. So why do we calculate this is, they've done some analysis and according to their analysis, if this payback reciprocal, no, I assume payback period is how many? PP is equal to 3 years. Then what will be the payback reciprocal? 1 by 3, which is nothing but 33.33%. Correct? No. They say this payback reciprocal of 33%, which I assume, will approximate IRR. This payback reciprocal, they've done a theory and calculation. What they're saying is, what is the theoretical result is, this payback reciprocal represents, is not IRR, it is in close related to IRR. It almost approximates IRR, provided one condition is there. If the life of the project is twice of the payback period. Two things I said here. Payback reciprocal approximates. I'm not saying equals, so I'm using the word approximates. More or less, it is equal to IRR. Provided one condition gets satisfied, which is what? The life of the project is twice of the payback period. What is the payback period here? We have assumed 3 years. So if the life of this particular project which you are calculating, now if it is 6 years, and if you calculate payback reciprocal, it is more or less equal to IRR. That is as per the theory. You can go home and work this up. Assume 6 years ka cash flows and calculate this and see if it is approximate. IRR we anyway have done. Correct or no? You can assume and test it out. In the meantime, if we have time one day, we will also test. So you have to remember these 3 points. It has come for 2 marks or so. 3 points can you remember? One is payback reciprocal is nothing but it is the reciprocal of the payback period. So formula for that will be cash flows or NCF, net cash flows divided by initial investment. The reason why we calculate this is this payback reciprocal will be approximating IRR, provided the life of this project that you're doing the analysis on is double the payback period or twice the payback period. These are the 3 points you have to remember. Just remember those. That is sufficient. Next, one last concept, 2 questions based on that, and that's it for today. Alright, some of you are wondering, I guess, when. That is when. Okay. Last concept. Can I go for the last concept, by the way? Accounting rate of return, average rate of return, or book rate of return. 3 names. ARR, BRR. Or ARR again. One ARR is for average rate of return, other ARR for accounting rate of return, or also known as book rate of return. How do you calculate? That is what they are saying. ARR is given by, it's a return, sir. Alright, return, you tell me, how do you calculate a return? Return will always be in percentage. GP, how do you calculate GP rate? GP upon sales into 100. For a return, what will be the return? Here, cash flows. So cash flows, check the formula now. Average annual net income, which is nothing but your cash flows, divided by investment. Basically, let's say you invested 10 lakh rupees, you got a return of 1 lakh rupees. Can you tell me the return percentage? You invested 10 lakh rupees, you got a return of, or you got an annual income of 1 lakh rupees. What will be the return? How do you calculate that? 1 lakh divided by 10 lakh into 100. Yes or no? Everybody? So this is your ARR. There are multiple ways of calculating ARR. I'll show you, but this is a simplistic way of calculating ARR. Can we apply this in one of the case questions then? 4 and 5. That's all we have to do for today. Times Limited is going to invest. In fact, one moment, guys. Heading here in the formula, they said didn't say NCF. They said what there? Average annual net income. Keep that in mind. Okay, we will see that. Times Limited is going to invest in a project of 3 lakh rupees having a lifespan of 3 years. Salvage value of the machinery is 90,000. Profit before depreciation every year is 1,50,000. Calculate ARR. Calculate ARR. Have they given net cash flows here or they given cash flows after depreciation? They've given cash flows before depreciation or after depreciation? Before depreciation. What should we take? We should take NCF. How do you get NCF? First you have to take, what do you start with? Profit before depreciation. Deduct depreciation. You're going to get profit before tax. Deduct tax. You're going to get profit after tax. Can you take PAT? Now last step may add back depreciation. But here have they given tax rate? I mean, should you have to do that step? No, what do you have to do then? Just add back depreciation. Assume tax rate to be 0. Correct? No. Don't say I know tax. I will take 30%. Alright. We don't know. In tax also there are various section 10 exemptions also. Alright. So we don't know. Some companies could go for MAT credit. I think that we have done. No. MAT credit, remember. Which standard was that? AS22. Taxes on income. Some companies could go for MAT rate 18%. Not necessary. Every company will be subject to 30% also. So don't write all that here. Better if they don't give the tax rate, take it as 0 and proceed. Better. So can you calculate NCF? Same, no sir. How is it same? You have to add, no. Oh, they gave profit before only. Oh my bad. Cha. Okay, fine. What do we have to do then? Oh, one moment here. I think there's a small change in the formula for here. Okay. Guys, one small change. Sorry. Here, check the formula again. Average annual net income. This accounting rate of return, this is not a tool. This is trying to calculate your return percentage. That means you have to consider income as a base and get the return. That means here it will be profit. How do you get profit? After all the expense and after all the tax. So you don't have to add back depreciation because we are not taking cash flow as a base and doing the decision basis here. We are trying to calculate the return percentage. And return percentage of ARR is given by the formula average annual net income. My bad, I think I just told the incorrectly there. Check the formula again. Average annual net income. How do you calculate income, guys? After deducting all the expenses or before deducting all the expenses? After deducting all the expenses. Here, have they deducted all the expenses or yet to deduct one expense? Which is what? Depreciation. That means if you have to revise, here it will be what? They've given profit before depreciation. You have to deduct depreciation and then you will get your income as such. Is it okay? It's not NCF divided by investment. The formula is quoting here what? Average annual net income. Thereby are you able to get the difference? Yes, everyone? Confusion or okay? Alright, that means we have to put up that small working note then. Question number what now? 4. Okay, so year and they gave profit before depreciation. No? Profit before depreciation. And then we'll consider depreciation and then it will be profit after depreciation. How many years data they've given? 2? 3. Okay. What is profit before depreciation for all the 3 years? 1,50,000. And for second year it is 1,50,000 again. Third year again it is 1,50,000. Correct? No? Guys. So depreciation. Can you calculate? Have they given or we need to calculate? 70,000. Oh, how? Calculated. Oh, how did you calculate that? Perfect. Question number 4, right? What is the outflow, sir? Straight line method. What is the formula? Original cost minus salvage value. How much is salvage value? 90,000 divided by life of the asset, which is given to be 3 years. So 2,10,000 divided by 3 will be how much? 70,000. That means your profit after depreciation. Means you have to deduct depreciation or you have to add back. Deduct, which will be 80,000. It's a straight line method of depreciation. So will depreciation change? Now for all the 3 years it will be 70 only. That means profit after depreciation for all the 3 years also it is 80,000 only. Do you remember ARR ka definition or ARR ka rather formula? They didn't use the word profit after depreciation. They said average annual net income divided by what? Divided by investment. Investment could be two ways. We will work out both. Under first formula, we'll write two formulas. There are two ways of getting ARR. One is ARR, that is average annual net income, divided by initial investment. You're right. Initial investment. This is one way of finding the ARR. First way. So ARR under the first way is how much? ARR is equal to, what is average annual net income, sir? What is your net income here, by the way? 80,000 for all the years. Even if you calculate the average, it will still be the same only. Yes or no? 80,000 plus 80,000 plus 80,000 divided by 3 is nothing but 80,000 only. So can I directly write 80,000 here? Divided by initial investment. How much did you initially invest, sir? 3 lakh rupees. So how much would be your rate of return that you're getting? 26.67%. This is one way. Second way is, observe this next problem I want to do you to do on your own. Same ARR only. As a practice I want you to do. Second ARR is, or second way of getting ARR is same. Average annual net income divided by, we don't consider initial investment, we will consider average investment. You can do either this or that. Is it okay? If there's call for average investment, you have to specifically do it under that method, or else you can do for initial investment. And also write down average investment is equal to, how much did you invest initially? 3 lakh. Though you invested 3 lakh initially, you are recovering salvage value of how much? 90,000 later on. So our average investment is 3 lakh plus 90,000 divided by 2, or rather 1 second you write down. Formula you're writing. Don't write 3 lakh and all. Write the formula. Average investment or average investment is equal to initial investment plus salvage value. Initial investment plus salvage value divided by 2. For those of you who require Tufani wala formula, there is one more. That is initial investment, half of initial investment minus salvage value plus salvage value. Both will give you the same answer. Use the first one, it's okay. Yeah, Tufani one, it's okay. You can keep it for another day. Study material will give you Tufani one also, but we can keep this. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, so can we calculate ARR under the second approach? So ARR will be what now? First we'll calculate of average investment. How much will be average investment? Initial investment is 3 lakh plus salvage value is 90,000 divided by 2. How much is that? 1,95,000. So your ARR will be average annual net income, which is 80,000, divided by average investment, which is 95,000 or 1,95,000 into 100. How much will be your ARR? Sorry? 41.02%. Copy these two, observe it once, do question number 4. You can go out of the classroom. Question number 5, yes. Let's go through both the formulas. I want you to work out under both the formulas. Finished, no? Question number 5. Is there or not? Net income not given, no? Question 5. Given, no? Any problem is there? No. Okay. Try to done. No? What is the answer you're getting? Perfect, sir. So one down. Two more. Or not two more. Many more. Average return is like they're keeping net income as a base. This I think net income we can keep we can sink in now. Average investment, salvage value they're saying is that as an inflow. Or what investment that remains at the end of the day, though you invest 3 lakh, at the end of the day, what remains is 90. So effectively you are investing only 210 on an overall period basis. So hence 210 divided by 2 is what they are saying there. Is that okay? Rather that way they are working it out there. Matlab you could have taken investment ka closing balance. That would have been a better approach according to me. 210, you could have taken 300 plus 210 divided by 2 would have been a better approach, but you have structured the formula that way. So yeah, maybe they feel like only 210 is outflow and they're working with that. Could be. Not very sure though in that. Because we used to use that formula in, if you remember, I don't know whether you attended the whole thing. So we used to use that half wala formula in goodwill valuation. Average capital employed, there was one, this thing was there. Goodwill, I don't know. Goodwill was anywhere removed now. Earlier we used to do this. If for capital employed, we require opening capital employed as well as closing capital employed. If closing capital was not given, we can work it out using that approach, half wala approach. There was one answer for the. I'll work it out. I'll just tell the answer. That's fine with you. Answer is okay. Answer, we'll write it down here. One moment. Answer is, under which method did you work out? ARR under first method, you should get an answer of 9.2%. ARR, if you work it out from the second approach, that is average investment approach, then you should get an answer of 17.04%. That is your answer. 9.2 and 17.04%. If they don't mention, do it under first approach and move on. It's okay. Easy, no? One step you can avoid. Income divided by investment into 100. 9.2 and 17.04%. All of you have done? Anyone wants any help there? No. Alright, that's it for today. We'll catch up tomorrow, same time, 4:30. Thank you.